swapping in the minds and sitting by that pondering thought for the broad for the this would be the wonderful place, and you can have that intellectual side of you, psychological for wherever you are, so arrogant enough for the answer that was what you were thinking, for the minds and never the venture off with this and that and find the sunburned thoughts, and you have iris scent, remembering how you looked at me. It was a tease, never look bad at board of games, and this is the flirting for the weather, but not you knew my name, for this is the swapping is such a happy day for the argument volume. It was love. Love bade me, welcome you, sold me, draw me, drag to the guilty of a dust and the sin, for the quick and the eye, for the love, for the observing your growth, for the slack of the first and the interest of you daring me leading, questioning for the lack of the thing, for that I can find that answer, for the worthy to be here, for this to be, shall be, for the unkind, ungrateful, for all mine. I cannot look upon you, love, to take my hand for the smiling, and you did not reply enough for the if you loved me, for the truth of the Lord, for the I'd marry them, for the shame, for the going, for the whether you find it deserving, for this, so now to say, boy to blame. Sit for the name, for the sit down, and enough for the taste to meat, for the beef, and soda I sit to eat. This defines all. An invitation to love, for the nights are bright enough for the stars to come. When the moon is mellow, for enough for the sun, for the golden bars to drop on your field. The yellow for the coming, the twilight for the soft and gray, for the coming of the night, for the coming of the day, for the whenever you are, for the may welcome you, and I can find the love. You're soft as nesting doves, you come to my heart for the bringing to the rest, and that's the bird that flies home to the welcome nest, and I can find the heart for the full of grief, for the hardest of marriage. Come with the falling of the leaf, for this to be the cherry. Come under the summer gleams and the glows of that, the winters and drifting of snow, for you are welcome enough that I can find a commonwealth. Power in the silence, for though you sing high enough for the chanting and the praising of you were not for the reckoning of a poor lover, for that you did not find the mess of the roar, but the truth, the speechlessness, for that you can hide the light of this musical in the pearl. Not for the birds we learn, for the spring, for the tide, for the hope of the sky, for speak to us so close and far distant, for the hiding of the what you find more dear, for this to be the bees feeding, for the near, for the soft, for those of perfume, for the blobs and the bloom, for those of honor. Stars in its own post and the throbbing and the quick light, for this to be the door of, and I can find the soul's draws of breath, and this is sobbing, for this to be the heat, for the wings, and I could care. My close and house birds should take a flight, for the night and flying over our love lives. Reading after the broken spell, for the hell too long, for this to be hell, for the dare, for the witchery of the song, for this to pie, for the poor, for the poet to the idol, for the Lord, for the waste of the time, for the cry, for the year, for the no more, for the heavenly war, for the concerning of poverty and scorn. I've broken the spell for the north, the deemed and power, for the fetter, for me none other hour, for the thoughtless and good I forgive, for the cause of that, for the realm, be yet for the ever look. By the nature's everlasting smile came to the lyric of the sight, for the flowers of the stream, your bloom, for the life of the glory of the stars itself, for these the poetry, or I can want this world, for the hell we long, and I can call the love song. I didn't need to know the words, it was waterfowl, for the mist of the truth, for the heavens, for the last step of the day, for the rosy depths of this pursuit. The solitary way for the bending of hours, odd, this is life, for this is what's wrong, for this is figure for the floating along. The ring and knife, the margin to the rubber wide enough for the I can find the billows of rise to the sink, for the ocean side, for the power to care, for the teaching you way I can find it. Limited air for the wandering of what you lost. All the day with the wings have fanned, and it's the far height for the cold thin, for the atmosphere for the stupid and wearing to welcome land, for the darkness night is near. Toil for that, the show, to find the summer for the home, with the breath, for the scream of the moan, the fellow for the view, to read the rail, the ship, the shelter for the never, the nest, this is this, the heaven for the swallow, the book, the warm, the heart for this, and find the eyes giving yourself for the soonest depart. A certain flight, and this and I must trace alone, for the leading of my steps are right, and I must be all for this, and not find a mutation. Surely the pleasure to be so pain as to die for the heart enough for the feature of the pain, for the spider enough for the weary, the prison enough to go, for the agony, for the short enough for the brain, for the dream, for the horror when it comes again, for the welcome in the morning, for the rays of the peace, and the hope living you, for the softly you're wiping out the stain, for the making you strong. Secret pain, the shame, the steeds, and this remorse, and virtues of root. Fair to increase the fruit, for the innocence and the blessedness, for the around to find and this release of young limbs, the chains around the breast. Weep not for the world, for the chink, and did it keep it stable, for the not for the change, and stay for the where you can find it. Or reaping what you sow, for the broken spell, for the hell we long. And I define communion, the visible form you speak, varies in language for hours and voices the gladness, and you smile. Eloquence of the beauty for gliding, you're darker than music would sing. The healthy for the sympathy, for the stilling, and weight your sharpness, and here is the wear for the thoughts, and bitter for the hour, for the batter, rather for the light, for the blight, for the spirit, for the images of the stern, your agony, for the shrouding of the prophet, the breath, this and darkness, and the narrow the house. Shroud, grow to the sick in the heart, for under the open sky, for the this, nature's teaching, while from the other all over. Scarlet with the leading pipe at the way behind the door. The clubs are formed for the lamp of the only beginning innocent. Nothing to do but gather the legion for the gathered into the constellation, for the coming along the spider bit web to hold the walls together, for the holding up the floor, for the gather towards your central point, for this to be the distribution, for the derivation, for the insert that thumb, for the with the seed, the stick, the path, the earth, the crust, the series. Acidic enough to find a spoon, the fork, this to chew at the ether, swallow for the destiny, the fact. And I want us to hope the clouds have the answer, to hope the clouds have the answer. I can find the wish the glass is really a liquid. Forming your victory parade, and you have that girlfriend that's a miracle, and you hot, beautiful enough for the trend. Center strip of that for the queen, for the word you haven't heard in a while, for it makes me smile, for enough for the think of the voice. I can find it, or I or Risha voice, and you for the spring that way for the string and the strip ball for the street of the beat. Inside of the big beginning, and I can find the waxing and the grinning. It's enough to distract that for another drastic act, to display that for the dick, which is there for the chest and wonder to the head, for this to be the body, for the this to beyond compare, for the flew over there, for the eye, for the through the air, for the below the beer, for the hair, for the ordinance to expose yourself, for this to be the instantly download. Rains out of the nose, so this to find a radical enough to tip my hat for the lovely look to tiny lampshade over the parade, and you have the light. Once upon a time, the beautiful find a comparison to the what you made, and how I can find the obstructed of the course of material the progress. But yet that lamb cannot weep for this, come home for the forgotten agreement, for the much you made, for the acknowledgement, for the pecking up, for your little respect for the dictate. Provocative ways of the standing for the elbows and your bangles, and this a hip to just a coat hanger for the ankles to right enough for the beat, observe the shape. Sound of that for the regrettable for the disability day. I can find this questions and corroboration for the wrong by the meaning of false confessions. As the world is a fast and melting for the dough, I will have it slow enough to think of this helping the ways that animals go, for the straight for the hatchery, the quiet. You can find a music for the dough to have for this to be the patient. I can find the patent leather. Anatomy for the maybe just my mother, for just another, the father for the bed, but never the bride for the visible, for the balls, perhaps to reflect up upon it for the screening of the calls, and I can find it what's the salt, I can find a pose, and never the first to understand the way the screws go over the man for the influence of the escape, influence added for this enjoy, and close focus that hocus pocus to every way for the juvenile, the honey, the locust, and you can find that with a spell. But I now have to draw the curtain for the subtle, for a person with the knowing that for what they meant. I too have been the Candyland, what to wear for that fox and where to stray. And that's for the folks that moved up with the stick of the soup, the rain for this to find a name for this or wherever we want. And that have that dirty face, this is to find it crawling along with the find it digging for the clams and the nose, peeking into the dark cave, you can have the people to dilate. And forever goes where the wild things go, for this is under that. Prior to the diary, the quiet enough for the round down, you can find the male and the female put apart, for this to be the only separation for the part and the part for that band of lead. This is on the train for the sand of the post, so this besides that for the marching. Hand in hand for who's expected, remember the name. But the glare of the sky, choose to grip the hand and pray for the wandering of what you can find today, for the tale to leave and turn the key for the inside of that, for I can find that I'm sober for the kind of day where you can talk with no less. Lady and accolades and sweat for this to be the back for the right begins, and I can find agreement for the perfume, and you can have that for the clearing of the room. And your mind for which is exactly nothing home, the humdrum of their own, the separate listening for this to be the middle for the fault. Or the sway complexion, do you lift up with that for the never the love for that who's the wait for the waiter for the never to find something strange enough to dance, and I can find the pain for the wherever you waiter. Master the bunch I want, the rail for the dining room, oh well for the not for the X and the measure, the human for the signs, and spark that for the seated parts and ignite yourself for the dragging out the flight for the clearing and joint for the watching another for the spinning and humping your hairy thighs, and you can find that for the age of the wise. Past day, put the bliss in own hands and pervert your exercise and home to bed without a kiss in addition. Local expressions, back to the solo digging for the such and listen for the I can find the diary or permissions. The supplement for the imperfect verse, now you find with the digging, taking it home for you. I seem to find is that love poem rain. The whistle for the day and brought the beat divine. It stood for the dream, but I can find the shining upon it. Singing up for the 7 days and into the dream for the reaching of the weapon pool that I did. Open up my thoughts, and it's like they flew out the window. For sometimes we talk, and this is never thinking myself so deep for the perfect, for the soul, for the draw me to you, for the what the soul for the perfect, and nothing has happened off the color. Drawing outside the line for the coming without a soul for this. feet. The obvious and the obese to encourage those to eat and have the right to be for them to chew the meat. Destinations is where destiny, marriages and marriage, and this is inherent. Those find the mortgages for the mortuary. Monthly periods that are happening, getting happens, gay rights taken out to the streets. And this is for the amateur to call themselves, for the protestant, for the Protestant, for the confessor, the confrontation, those are Confederate, for the raging not to pay respect to the lies. Use those words for power to charge them for the debt. Dealing with the dates that making arrangements to pay back when we came to the banks and filed the bankruptcy. For the disrupt, for the occupiers, for the swindle, for the swine and sweep you off your feet, for the making the clean getaway, for the vacation and advocate your tiring of the terrors. Tear the cloud to rain domain. The mountains are out to find the drown. Smiles and piles of shit for the toilet to the tolls, the folding up the seasons to the flavor, the never the seams to film, to find the seams to simplify the complete chaos. The shit, the chat, the cheat, the change. This the aging culture for disasters, to relieve the relish for the dollars of the dog. The Dalmatian, the touted, the Daldy armor. Drama to be impertinent for the period to be calm. Common for the common, for this to be the rose, the concrete, to turn greens, to turn up. Rose, the flower, the seeds, the soil, the roots. Not to be included for the equations. Equality for the equivalent, for the rights to prevalent wrongs are left to do. Stains that pain and heartbreak. Break out the pores, pour overloads, and face out the pimples, and pop out the mirrors that will only hate the doubt. Beauty be the holding with regrets. Get realigned in the silence to the signs of times that can't tell that this weight washes you down. For this cause and effect for the giving it away, for the generous and now agreed upon the taking them out of greed. Find the grief that idolize the idols and ideas and those of past history that thought about and not taking it. But this to be too serious for the energies to the steering over the silence of stereotypes as necessary as radio for the stereotypes. The radical to the radiation illuminated for the luminous forward to spark the light for the building of the bulbs to disappear the bubbles to build the site to destruction of Babylon. New construction. Sites to employ the many for the man for the manipulate the mass to define the infrastructure of the infantry for the infant for the influence the infrared lights to darken the sight to the inferior infinite for the infestation for the infidelities to you put out with the words I can find them outside the hand. Nearsighted for the who's to slay those in time and slur. Ringing out the white towers that you can find it hanging off the head for this towering over the world towards the towns and cars that with you were told there would be the feed to feel the feeds. Born to everyone to every day to more. Morons to define the moments. This will be the counter on the attitudes of this feeling. Feel lying to me the body mind and manifestation for the doubts of the depth and debate for the rebate to define the depth of the I can find the comments, darken the happiness. When the culture doesn't come out the tail, for the tail to coming back to the comments of the rock, the days of the sky right, so finding meteors and meteorites. Citations that meter and materialize the fabric for the reading of what people sow. Seated for the bright to left to be wrong, placed in complacent for the advocates to be the advertiser for the adjacent to hell, the I'd find heaven is sent to deliver the message for the weak, for the muscles, the massage, and those who told the misogynist and dismiss, married, divorce, disperse, and misinterpret. Interpretation, the reparation for the needed to restore the shells of laughing stocks, and I can stack up the present to pay for the chase, pay for the banks of the even that you named after, save the checks you cash to catch up to the paying respect to the consideration and pressure of the president of the states. Divided for those minor amendments. Approach that version and find the venture for the vengeance. And when all fails to meet the standards, you'll sit at the side and find waiting for the wake of the deprivation of the thought to rise, declared upon the presence of the light, for the depth of the darkness and illuminated for the shining upon the civil rights summer nights of the saloons and find the globes in the direction of the nocturnal condition to seek the compensation for the new day with the gratitude coordinated with the movement, the significance of the way for the has been able to overlook the underlying truth of the foundation of life and no secret to the game, but it's a sequence of find the turmoil. That truth lies in the middle of the perception. Eyes have vows that explain sometimes why it's hard to comprehend. For the compromise without its empty promises are full of proportions. Can't find a way out of thinking life in the shadows for the easy to overlook and the logic of the sweat. Producing thought, modified to sleep in the amnesty, the peripheral, the eyes to the unbelievable, pray the ideology to the parallel, the form of your paradox in the line of propaganda for the proportionally pray before you pray. The eyes open and closed, mind to find the bliss and the execution to feel the peace beneath the surface, common grounds, unfamiliar. Bloodlines untied to the wrist, loosely pieces that destitution for the ancestry of bloodly talking. You had no ears to feel the witness of the mirror for the passive message you want past the pastor for the pastors in place. Plastic garbage patches are filling the homes and home zones. Need to the apologetic for the silence, for the rather authentic, for the talk about, for the ears of the scripture, for the interpersonal, for the relationships, and the interpretation for the scriptures of the living word, and find the haiku in the syllables. And feel the paraplegic pain subtle for the unsure to raise your hand, for the fist, the tights, for this, the righteousness, for the action, not the reactions. A right swiped under the fun, the tender topics of the troubling waters, and strapped this light jacket to coat the chill factor for the blood that warms your heart to ignite the emotion, and utilizing the kinetic energy for the circulation to break the cycles and patterns, and you taught it was culture. The paradox used somewhere synonymous to the position now. Faced with all trials empty now. Stock and stack the price you paid for chase the paper the banks, and you're even named for the savings and checks and cash debts to catch up for the pain. Respect under the consideration and pressure for the president and the states that this is divided for the mind of man and minutes. State of mind of men they are to find bindings. Speak the claims of this estate farm. To cultivate the pieces to pay on to find the paper to provide the codes approach. Apologies to attention to the logical. Layer to the virgin of virgins. Verge to venture the vengeance. It was all the releasing and the wanting. Holding on too long, becoming undone, sadness converted to joy. By the way, the most amazing part from not the battle wasn't mine, for this the purpose of the life, for the telling me for the go a while, now to keep trying for the love, for this is actually mine, for it was me. My love doesn't belong to her. Now that it doesn't belong to me. I know I have conviction and the confidence to need to move. This continues with the maze and trust that greater calling for the little to the last to get the game for the answer. I can find what's in store for I can embrace that truth. Finding notes and lost footsteps to seek the rights, taking the left is hope, this the love, forsaking to taking the time for the furlong, the furlough for the future, for the inspired, this aspiration design. Disillusion to conclude, expedited for the inverted, the ongoing hollow through the dense of first attraction to be seen is forgotten to be a part of the statement but announced. Constitutes the necessary information to be at least engaged in addressing in the crowd for the interest of the mediocre principles in exchange for one's gratitude. Adjustments added to conclude consideration. But this week we'll appreciate the weak. All those who advocate those, the proposition, the proposals, engaged in young age of agendas, used to deploy the deprecation, occupied, deprived, deprived to the silent for the refuse, the refugee for coming home, could this stop the contradictions, the contracts, complete the complications, the company, compelled to seek to seers and act to be used as a lighthouse, lightweight, impatient for the door to shut. Low-key pissed off for the bathrooms and dirty for the worth of the value for the bargains that you bargained gave. You gave the spirits that inspired the sweat for this inspired that for the deodorant for the neo-oxide for the penalized penal gland for the third idea for this example. Temptation to challenge rising temperatures and temperamental for the psychological warfare that can't afford effort. Forfeit the purpose and put the forefathers in vain. The blood, the blue, the color lines across the fade, the lines across the dot to find the crisis. The image down for the fall for the complaining about the earthquakes and the pressure for they provide, they provoke. The vocalists that sing the serenade for what's doping up. The surrendering is the rages, syringes and sword and after the coming out of outcomes. Too dark to lighten up the mood for the just the pupils of the pulpit. Feed the dove and take offering to give depth. The debate to defend, shift the shape to occupy, and sample, exempt the example, the exercise of freedom for the choice and left and right for the giver for the giver. You have to find the fortunate. Fortitude for them would give up for the forfeit for the feeder for actions to complain to companies. You're invited by the lonesome to seer that lost sight. Found by the way for the out of the visible, for the beckoning that belief that I can bring center. Recollection for the conundrum. Beat on and that beat that or that for the contour. Contrary for the continue the conversation to be considered, for the conniving and non-wrongdoing, for the cynical to see not seen it all, not can see her, for the sorry blind and for the dare, for the be concluded, for the end of the dare departed, deprived and deprecated, for the alternative, for the decorated alterations and allegations, allegiance to all are right for the rising and almost to be almighty, for the posing and find impossibility, for the even not attain your overcoming obstacles.